What else is going on today? There was other things I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about Zuckerberg's fucking hearing. They hauled him. They hauled him up. Nvidia, if you remember, they said, hey, we're going to give $100 billion to OpenAI. And then they walked it back. And as of today, the new number came in, and it was $30 billion. So the deal was abandoned, and now it's $30 billion. And instead of it's $100 billion, like, almost like not no strings attached, but now it's like they're getting equity. They're just basically buying stock in OpenAI for $30 billion. And where's that $30 billion going? OpenAI will reinvest much of its new capital into Nvidia hardware. So instead of $100 billion, it's basically, here's a $30 billion check you can use to spend on Nvidia. It's a voucher for you can buy GPUs. It's just another circular fucking vendor financing. It's a $30 billion Nvidia gift card. Store credit. So it's definitely a loop, bro. It's definitely a loop. I do think, I stand by this. I think I've become more and more, I think AI is a very, very real, very powerful technology that's going to shake our world. Probably not in positive ways. Well, some positive, some negative, but it's just people thinking it's going to disappear are wrong. That being said, in the interim, in the shorter term, it's absolutely a financial bubble, and absolutely the heart of it is OpenAI. So both can be true. Both can be true, and I think both are true. Did you see this study that said Gen Z is the first generation that's less intelligent than the previous one? Yeah, I saw the study. It was called Atrioc Twitch Chat over the past 4 years. Yeah, it's been a controlled study. And the findings are irrefutable. They're irrefutable, bro. To be honest, I had into this study, and does anyone have, there was a really good, minute and a half speech. Maybe it was a 2-minute speech by a guy about this in front of, I think it was Congress. Man, I'm blanking on the guy's name. He was an education, if anyone knows where he was, I would love to watch that with chat. It was pretty good. But anyway, it's true. I hate to break it to Gen Z. I'm sure it doesn't mean you guys are the top end of the curve, smartest Gen Zers. But actually, this is the first time we've seen sustained decline, generation over generation, in math and reading. It's bad. And his blame was entirely on phones. And I think it's true. Or basically, yeah, I think it was like probably, thank you guys. This is it. There's screen time right here. We should watch this, actually, legitimately. I think this is actually very interesting.
Dr. Jared Cooney-Horvath. I'm a former teacher turned cognitive neuroscientist who focuses on human learning. And I do not receive funding, nor have I ever, from big tech. So a sad fact our generation has to face is this. Our kids are less cognitively capable than we were at their age. Since we've been standardizing and measuring cognitive development since the late 1800s, every generation has outperformed their parents. And that's exactly what we want. We want sharper kids. And the reason for this largely has been school. Each generation spends more time in school. We use school to develop our cognition. Congratulations, you see your correlation.
Yeah.
Until Gen Z. Gen Z is the first generation in modern history to underperform us on basically every cognitive measure we have, from basic attention, to memory, to literacy, to numeracy, to executive functioning, to even general IQ, even though they go to more school than we did. So why? What happened? What happened around 2010 that decoupled schooling from cognitive development? It can't be school. Schools basically look the same. It can't be biology. This hasn't had enough time to change. The answer appears to be the tools we are using within schools to drive that learning. Across 80 countries, as Gene was just saying, if you look at the data...
Yeah, 2010 is smartphone and social media. Smartphone comes out in 2007, but it's only rich people for a few years and doesn't have the app store. It's not big enough. by 2010, it achieved over 50% penetration, and social media became a thing, and that's it. I mean, and he'll talk about it more, but I legitimately think that it has just broken our brains, and it's broken people's brains of every age. But I think when it breaks your brains before you had a chance to even learn anything in school, I think that's the problem. I just think people, you know what I'm saying? It's broken everyone's brains. My parents' brains, my fucking everyone's brains are somewhat broken, mine included. But I just think, man, people just don't give a fuck from an early age now.
Once countries adopt digital technology widely in schools, performance goes down significantly, to the point where kids who use computers about 5 hours per day in school for learning purposes will score over 2/3 of a standard deviation less than kids who rarely or never touch tech at school. And that's across 80 countries. Bring it home to the US. Let's go to the US. We have our NAEP. That's our big data. Take any state, and here's a fun experiment you can try. Take any state NAEP data, compare that to when that state adopted one-to-one technology widely, and watch what happens. The NAEP data will plateau and then start to drop. Now, as Gene said, of course, this is all correlative. What we really want is causative. To get causation, what you need is academic research, and you need mechanisms, explanations for why we're seeing what we're seeing. Luckily, we have academic research stretching back to 1962 that shows the exact same story for 60 years. When tech enters education, learning goes down. In fact, one of the biggest ed psychologists right now, Dylan William out of the UK, recently said, ed tech is a revolution that's been coming for 60 years, and we're gonna have to wait another 60 because it ain't doing anything. Now that's research, but
why don't we put, have they tried streamers, is all I'm saying. I feel like when they do ed tech, it's like Kahoot and quizzes and phones and bullshit. But what about big A clips in classrooms? What about, and I want a government contract for that. What about VTuber teachers? Okay. What about that? Let's innovate here.
Now we need mechanisms. Luckily, over the last about 2 decades, we've been doing a lot of work in what we call the science of learning. How do human beings learn? And we now have the clear understanding of why tech does not work for learning, and it is all biological. It's not that the tech isn't being used well enough, we haven't been trained enough, we need better programs. It's we have evolved biologically to learn from other human beings, not from screens. And screens circumvent that process. I won't go too deeply into the mechanisms, they can get boring, but just know they're there if you want to talk about them. So that leaves us with 2 options. Option 1, when you know something is wrong, do better. So we could just say, hey, mea culpa, get some of this tech out of schools, go back to what we know works, some analog methods, cool. Or 2, we could redefine our terms. We could redefine what it means to be an effective learner. I want to end with one quick story here. Think back to your childhood, to your schooling. I guarantee all of us at one point took a test on reading comprehension. And the way it looked is this.
Yeah.
Here's a passage of about 750 words. Here are 10 to 12 questions about that passage. Most of them are inferential, not factual. They're asking you to go beyond what you just read to see what you understood.
Yep.
Cool. Last year, the SATs had a reading comprehension section. Here's what it looked like. Here is a single sentence of 75 words. Here is one question, fact-based, about that sentence. Next. Here is another sentence of 75 words. Here is one question about that sentence. Next. Last year, they redefined reading comprehension to mean 54 short sentences with one question about each. That is skimming. That's not reading.
I'm predisposed to believe what this guy's saying because I've seen it. I've seen it on social media. I've seen it in his chat. People just can't, they have no reading comprehension anymore, bro. They can't, especially if the passage is more than a fucking paragraph. And I heard, kids in school don't have to read a full book anymore. They just read the short sections. Like they don't give you, I'm not saying these are great books. I think actually school does a bad job of making reading seem interesting. But if they don't give you Great Gatsby and say, this semester we're going to read this and talk about it, they'll give you like a passage from it. They'll give you like a section. You get book shorts. And it's like, what the fuck are we talking about? What? And then, did you see that thing where it's like the fucking film students who can no longer sit through films? Where they were interviewing teachers of film class in colleges, and then the students, they decided to be film majors, and they can't watch a full film. And it's like, first of all, two parts of that. Okay, you could just not like the movie, fine. Why did you sign up to be a film major? Why are people signing up to be film majors if they don't even like watching a movie? So this crisis is real, man. I don't know how to say it. Like, I know there's a certain element of like boomer whatever, but it is real. This is 100% real. And we got to adapt in some way because it's crazy.
Reading. Why would we ever do that? Because what do kids do on computers? They skim. So rather than determining what do we want our children to do and gearing education towards that, we are redefining education to better suit the tool. That's not progress, that is surrender. So as we
ChatGPT off speech. Bro, you ChatGPT that fucking speech? Or what?
we go through our discussion today, there's gonna be a lot of talk about smartphones and social media, rightly so. But I'm the voice here to remind you that even in schools, it doesn't matter what the size of the screen is, if it's a phone, if it's a laptop, if it's a desktop, and it doesn't matter who bought it. Is it school sanctioned? Does it have the word education stamped on it? It doesn't matter. All of these things are also gonna hurt learning, which in turn are gonna hurt our kids' cognitive development, right at the time when we need our kids to be sharper than we are. So thank you guys so much for today. I look forward to talking with you.
Have we tried an even bigger screen? What if we taught kids in movie theaters? What if we built screens even bigger than that? Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe the problem is they haven't gone big enough. What if we go to the Sphere? Or do like a smart board in IMAX? That shit could actually, it'd be hard to ignore. That should be hard to ignore. Anyway, I do think this is a problem. High key. And without even pandering, I don't think it's actually, first of all, it's, this is an aggregate of everybody and it's a small decline, but it's breaking a trend. I don't think every fucking Gen Z is stupid. People I'm talking about are probably not people who give a shit about watching a Trump press conference about tariffs. But I do think, like, if you don't even get the baseline of ever having, I don't know, read a few books or thought about something in a deeper way than a surface level, or I just think, I think you're set up to be taken advantage of. I think you're set up to be taken advantage of. To either be easily made angry, to be easily confused, to be easily misled, I just think that stuff is more likely. And that's happening to fucking boomers left and right. So don't get me wrong. I don't think it's an age thing too much, but I think it gives you some kind of baseline. And I do think on a deeper level, a fundamental level, I think democracy as a whole, which is the system of government that I prefer, kind of relies on a public that is at least somewhat informed or capable of reasoning. So this stuff's dangerous. What you're saying is we need to go back to a monarchy and get this whole thing sorted out. All right. Yep. And I think you should be the king.